Hey there Stampers, and welcome to Technique Tuesday. This month I'm going to show you how to do the bokeh technique. Now this is a photography technique where the background is blurred and you see little spots of light. It's kind of a really cool technique and it's easy to do with your stamping supplies. So I've seen a lot of samples of this where people have used watercolor, either aqua painters or watercolor brushes and ink and water, and it's a very wonderful way to do the technique. It's quite messy though, and I was looking for kind of a way that you could do it quicker and easier and less messy. So I'm going to show you how to do it with just ink and sponges and your plain old Whisper white cardstock. So to start with, I'm going to bring in my scrap paper here, and I have a piece of Whisper white cardstock here. Okay, and I've chosen 3 colors for this. So I've got the Wild Wasabi, and So Saffron, and Calypso Coral. Okay, and then I've got my sponges for each of those 3 colors ready to go. So I like to start with the lightest color, so for our purposes today it will be the So Saffron, and you just want to dab on. Now the trick to this is not to dab your sponge, but to rub your sponge. Okay, and you want to maybe start off your paper and just kind of rub it around, and you just want your colors to blend, and you want some areas to be darker and some areas to be lighter. You just want to really avoid sort of this look. You don't want to have like that sort of sponge look like that. You want to have it just really blended like that. So I start with a little bit of the So Saffron. I'm going to do a little bit of the Calypso Coral now. And again, I just come in and just give it a rub. And like I said, you want your colors to blend really well. You want there to be some darker spaces and some lighter ones. And just blend and blend and blend. Okay, kind of like that. Let's do some more up here. Like I said, some areas darker, some areas lighter. Okay, let's pull in some of the Wild Wasabi. And we can finish this off. And you can always go back in and add more color. So I would recommend that you start lighter and kind of work your way up from there, because you can't really take the color off your paper, but you can definitely add more. Okay, so definitely start lighter and work your way up from there. And just layering your color on and blending it around. You want it to look like the blurry background of a photograph, really. So I'll do that. I think I'm going to add just a little bit more So Saffron up here and blend it in with that Calypso Coral. Let's darken up our green in the corner here a little, and there we go. So we've got our background done. Now the beauty of this is every time you do it, it's going to look a little bit different, which is kind of cool because no 2 cards will look the same. So I'm going to just close those really quick, put the sponges off to the side. Okay, so the next step, you're going to want to make yourself a little template. So I'm going to bring back my card here. We're going to do these light spots in here, and if you've ever seen a picture done with this technique with the camera, there's always sort of these bright spots of light. Oftentimes Christmas trees are lit like this in pictures, and you have your Christmas tree in the background kind of blurry, and there's bright spots where the lights are, and your person or your presents or whatever's in front of the tree is nice and clear. So we're going to do these little bright spots in the background. So to do that, I've made a template. Now I didn't clean mine so that you could see it a little bit better. It's made out of a piece of our window sheets, and I've taken the Circles Collection framelits. I took the 3 smallest ones and just ran it through my Big Shot, and I put the circles around on it. Now there's a couple more circles here too, but these seem to be the ones that I used. And then I labeled it top, and I did that so that when I was using it in a class, or actually if I was making a bunch of cards, I wouldn't get it mixed up and accidentally stick the top down, because then I would get kind of these halos around, and I didn't want that effect. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and lay that down on my cardstock, and I'm going to pull in my Craft White ink pad. Alright, so you want to make sure that your ink pad is quite inky for this, and you want a nice clean sponge. You don't want a sponge that has any other sort of colors on it, because you want your light spots to be bright. Okay, so you're gently going to tap your sponge into the ink pad. Now you could also use your sponge dauber too, that would work as well. I prefer the sponge, and then I kind of finish it off with a sponge dauber. So we're going to gently tap it in like so, and again we're rubbing. Okay, so we're just going to rub in those circles, and that's going to give us those nice bright spots that we like for this technique. Okay. Alright, so you lift it off and you can see the bright spots. I'm going to flip my paper around a little bit, and I'm going to overlap some of these bright spots. You want that look because they overlap in photography when they do this technique, those bright spots. Okay, so you have it looking like something like that. And again, just the nice variation in the size of the circles is always good. It adds that visual interest to it. And again, you can always go in and add more color. You can't take it away though. So just keep that in mind as you're doing this technique, that you want to layer your color. And it's fairly easy to go ahead and put that template back over to brighten up your color a little bit more if you want, or to add a little more to it. Okay, so I'm just going to keep doing, it's kind of like bubbles actually. It reminds me of summer, blowing bubbles in the summer with the kids. Okay, and you want some of your little spots to go off your page. You just kind of want them to be sort of all over the place. Okay, I can add another one up here in the corner. Alright, so you can see how that looks. You have these nice bright spots on there. Now on some of mine you can see where it's kind of a little bit darker around the edges, so that's where I like to go in with the sponge dauber, and I'll just soften some of those edges that are maybe a little bit more brighter than I would like them to be. They're a little bit too dark, standing out a little too much. The other thing that I will do with my sponge dauber is I'll go in and I will add make some of them just a little bit brighter. I'll even go in and add some more in and make them a little brighter. Sponge a little more on them like that. So you want some of them to be brighter than others, a little more pronounced than others. I will go in and soften the edges so they're not perfect circles. Okay, so you get the idea. So you get something that looks like that. Now you want to let this dry really good before you move on to the next step. And if you're impatient like me, you could bring out the heat tool and let it dry that way. That helps speed things along a little bit, but you can see we've got a really nice background there. And once it's dry, you can go ahead and add in some more dots if you want to. So I'm going to bring in my original again. Let's take this out of the way. Bring in my original, and I'm going to just explain to you how I finished up this particular card. So I like the way this looks matted on a piece of Whisper White. I find that it just makes it pop. The colors just pop against that Whisper White. So my Whisper White piece here is 3 3/4 by 5. And my piece that I did the bokeh technique on is just a hair smaller. So it's 1/8 of an inch smaller on each side. I finished it off with a little bit of the narrow taffeta ribbon, which I stapled on, and then I added 3 of the gold sequins, and that just kind of, I think, adds to the brightness of it. And the whole card is just a calypso coral piece. So there you go, a really fun, easy technique, easy way to get to achieve this technique. And really you can't go wrong with it. So have fun playing and experimenting with different color combinations and different stamps on it. And be sure to link back so I can check out what you've done with this. It's great fun. If you are Canadian and you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to help you out with that. Give me a shout. You can check me out on my blog here at lastamper.blogspot.com. There's a link on there for you to contact me, and I can get you a catalog and we can get your creative journey started. So please let me know if you are looking for a demonstrator. I hope you enjoyed Technique Tuesday this month, and I will see you next time.